I want to talk about something today that isn't talked about a lot, but is often read in books and whatnot, and it's called the Cone of Power. The Cone of Power is one of those witchcraft terms that sounds like it came straight out of a fantasy movie. You hear it and immediately picture a bunch of witches standing in a circle, robes blowing in the wind, lightning cracking above them, chanting something in Latin while the moon looks suspiciously dramatic in the background. And honestly, yeah, that image is not completely useless. But let's bring it down to earth for a minute, because the Cone of Power is not complicated. People love to make this stuff sound more mysterious than it has to be. The Cone of Power is simply raising, shaping, focusing, and releasing of magical energy toward a specific purpose. That's it. So let me explain. In Wicca and witchcraft, we work with energy. Now, whether you see that energy as spiritual, psychological, emotional, divine, natural, psychic, or all of the above depends on your path and your personal beliefs. Some people believe they are literally raising unseen energy from the earth, from the body, and from the gods, and from the elements, and from the circle itself. Others may see it more as the focusing of the mind, emotion, and willpower into one sharp point of intent. Personally, I think both ideas can sit at the same table without throwing bread rolls at each other. The Cone of Power is the method of building that energy until it reaches a peak and then releasing it. Imagine a group of witches standing in a circle. As they chant, dance, breathe, drum, sing, or move together, energy begins to build. It starts low, maybe around the feet, the belly, the center of the circle, or the earth beneath them. As the working grows stronger, that energy rises. In the mind's eye, many witches visualize it forming a cone shape above the circle. The base of the cone is the circle itself. The point rises upward like a spiritual funnel or energetic spear. That is why it's called the Cone of Power. It's not because someone went to witch school and failed geometry. It's because the energy is imagined, felt, and directed into a cone-like form, wide at the bottom, sharp at the top, ready to be sent. Now, the important part here is not the shape itself. The shape is a tool. It helps the mind focus. It gives the group a shared image. And that matters, especially in group ritual. When everyone's working toward the same goal, breathing the same rhythm, chanting the same words, visualizing the same energy rising together, something happens. The room changes. The air gets thick. The body feels charged. The mind sharpens, and you can feel when a ritual begins to catch fire, so to speak. And no, I don't mean literal fire, so please don't burn down your living room and blame me in the comments. The Cone of Power is used when witches want to send energy toward a goal. That goal could be healing, protection, courage, justice, success, banishing, blessing, strengthening a person, empowering a charm, or helping bring about a needed change. It can be used in quiet, gentle workings or in powerful, intense rites where the whole coven is giving everything they have. A lot of people think magic is just saying words over a candle and hoping something happens. And yes, words matter. Candles matter. Symbols matter. Tools, they all matter. But without power behind them, they're just props on a table. Pretty props, maybe. Witchy props, sure, but still just props. The Cone of Power is one way we put force behind the spell. Think of it like this. If a spell is an arrow, the Cone of Power is the bow being pulled back. The more focus, emotion, rhythm, and will you pour into it, the more the tension builds. Eventually, you release, and when you release, that energy flies. Now, how do witches actually raise this Cone of Power? There are many ways. Chanting is one of the most common. A short phrase is repeated again and again until the words stop feeling like regular words and start becoming a rhythm. That chant doesn't need to be fancy. In fact, simple is usually better. If you need a dictionary and a minor degree in dead languages just to remember the chant, you've already made it harder than it needs to be. A good chant should be easy enough that the group can sink into it. That's usually why a lot of groups have the chant rhyme. Drumming can also raise power. The beat gives the body something to follow. It pulls people into a shared pulse. Add movement, and now the energy starts climbing. Dancing around the circle, swaying, stomping, clapping, or even just rocking in place can build a surprising amount of power. The body's not separate from magic. The body is part of the engine. Breath is another method. Deep breathing, controlled breathing, or building up breathing faster and faster can create an altered state of consciousness. And that altered state is useful, not because witches are trying to escape reality, but because ritual consciousness lets us step out of the everyday monkey brain nonsense and into focused spiritual work. You know, the everyday brain, I mean. The one thinking about, bills, laundry, what's for dinner, why someone left the cabinet open, or whether your cat is plotting against you. That brain is not always helpful in spell work, so ritual helps shift the mind into another mode. Then there's visualization. This is where the witch imagines the energy building. Maybe it looks like silver light, maybe a blue flame, maybe red heat, maybe golden sparks. Maybe it feels like pressure, warmth, tingling wind, or a rising vibration. Different witches experience it differently. Some see it clearly in their mind, some feel it in their body, and some just know it's happening. I personally visualize a bluish energy that looks something like this. And let me say this because someone out there needs to hear it. You do not have to see perfect movie quality images in your head to be good at magic. Not everyone visualizes the same way. Some people see vivid images and some people feel. Some people sense, some people think in concepts. Work with what you have. The gods are not sitting here with a clipboard saying, sorry, your cone lacked high definition rendering. Now, at some point, the energy reaches its peak. This is the moment of release. In some traditions, the high priestess or high priest or ritual leader may direct when that moment comes. In a solitary working, the witch feels it and lets it go. The release can happen through a shout, a final chant, a gesture, a blade pointed upward, hands thrust toward the sky, a stomp, a clap, a breath, or pure focused will. The energy is sent out towards its purpose. Some witches imagine it shooting upward into the universe. Others send it into a candle, a talisman, a person, the earth, or a target of the spell. And then comes the part people love to skip. Grounding. After raising power, you need to come back down. You do not want to walk around buzzing like you just drank 6 coffees and hugged a thunderstorm. Grounding brings the excess energy back into balance. You can place your hands on the floor, eat something, drink water, breathe slowly, touch the earth, or simply visualize the leftover energy flowing down through your body into the ground. This is basic spiritual hygiene. Raise the power, send the power, ground the leftovers. It's all pretty simple. Now, is the cone of power only for covens? No. It's very powerful in group work because multiple people are building the same current together. A coven can create a strong cone of power because everyone is contributing. The group mind becomes a battery. But a solitary witch can absolutely raise a cone of power alone. It may feel different, but the principle is the same. You raise energy, shape it, focus it, and release it. The solo witch may chant, rock back and forth, drum, breathe, dance, or sit completely still and build energy internally. There's no rule that says you need 13 cloaked witches in a forest clearing under a full moon while someone dramatically whispers, "It begins." Would it be fun? Sure, but necessary? No. The real key is focus. A cone of power with no clear purpose is like turning on a garden hose and then dropping it in the yard. Water goes everywhere, but nothing useful gets watered. Before raising power, know what you're doing. Know the goal. Keep it clear. Don't try to shove 12 different wishes into one working. I want protection, money, healing, revenge, a new job, better skin, my neighbor to stop being annoying, and also maybe a parking spot. No. Calm down. Pick a lane. Magic works best when its will is sharp. This is also where ethics come in. And yes, here we go, the part where everyone starts sweating. In Wicca, we do consider the consequences of our actions. It does not mean we're helpless little love and light marshmallows floating around through life singing Kumbaya while people walk all over us. But it does mean we think before we act. Raising power is not a toy. If you're going to send force into the world, have enough maturity to ask, should I? Is this justified? Am I acting from wisdom or just because I'm mad? Because let's be honest, sometimes we're not doing magic. Sometimes we're throwing a spiritual tantrum with candles. The cone of power deserves respect because it's one of the clearest examples of what witchcraft actually does. It takes belief, body, emotion, imagination, rhythm, will, and sacred space and brings them together into one act. It's not just thinking nice thoughts. It's not just begging the universe. It's participation. It's the witch saying, I'm part of this web of energy and I'm moving with it. That's powerful. And whether someone sees it as divine energy, psychic force, group psychology, emotional transformation, or the raw current of nature itself, the effect is the same in practice. The witch becomes focused, the intention becomes charged, and the spell's given life. So when you hear the term cone of power, don't let it intimidate you. It's not some unreachable secret locked away in a dusty tower guarded by a dramatic wizard with boundary issues. It's a practical magical technique. Raise the energy, shape it, aim it, release it. Ground yourself afterward. That is the heart of it. The cone of power reminds us that witchcraft is not passive. It's not just sitting around wishing. It's not just decorating an altar and hoping the vibe carries the whole operation. It's action. It's rhythm. It's breath. It's will. It's the witch stepping into the circle and becoming part of the work. And when done with focus, respect, and purpose, it can be one of the most powerful experiences in Wicca and witchcraft. So the next time you're in a circle, whether alone or with others, and you feel that energy rising, don't overthink it. Breathe with it, move with it, feed it with your will. Let it climb, let it sharpen, and when the moment comes, send it. That, my friends, is the cone of power.